My parents and twin sister kicked me out at 16. I lived in a tent and struggled for years. Now I have a house, and they showed up uninvited with my sister's family, demanding to move in. My sister asked my parents to throw me out, saying there was no space for me. I struggled for 12 years to have my own place, and now they want my sister to move in because she's pregnant with her fourth child. At 28, I've endured my parents' toxicity since childhood. My twin sister has always made my life difficult. While people say twins support each other, my twin pulls me down whenever she can. If childhood bullying wasn't enough, she reappeared in my life, wanting to move into my house despite being the one who threw me out at 16. She's always been narcissistic due to poor parenting. My parents wanted a daughter, and I was an unwanted addition. They even told me they would have terminated the pregnancy if it was just me, but since there was a girl, they had to bring me into the world. My sister never missed an opportunity to flaunt her entitlement. Growing up, I was unwanted, and everything was about her. We were the same age, yet I wasn't allowed to touch her toys, and she got new clothes while I received only a pair at Christmas and on our birthday. The only good part of my childhood was my grandfather, who saw through their facade. Sadly, he passed away when I was 13, leaving me with no one to support me. We lived in a tiny house in the suburbs, sharing a room. My bed was in a tiny closet in her room, filled with her clothes, toys, and posters. I wasn't even allowed to complain because my parents felt they were doing enough for me. When we were 16, my sister got pregnant by a 19-year-old loser who had failed the 8th grade threat. My parents got them married and brought him home, making me move out to make space for him. Our house had only 2 rooms, and I was asked to find a place for myself. My loser brother-in-law would say, "It wasn't tough to find a place for myself, despite living off as a junkie and knocking up a minor." My relatives lived far away, and my parents threatened me not to show up at their places to avoid exposing their toxicity. I asked friends for a place to sleep but had no luck. One classmate let me stay in his garage until his parents found out. I slept on a bench until the cops brought me home. My parents lied, saying I ran away, and my father got me a makeshift tent from a junkyard to set up in the backyard. Summer was okay, but winter was terrible. One freezing night, I knocked on the house, but no one responded. I knocked on my parents' bedroom window, and my dad yelled not to disturb him or he'd knock me down. I cried the whole night and desperately searched for a job that would provide a place to sleep. A bakery shop needed a worker, and the owner offered me a place to sleep and food. I cleaned up their messy backyard and lived there. I had to drop out of high school with a few months left for the final exams. My friends suggested staying in my parents' backyard to finish school, but I had given up. I worked hard at the bakery and saved up to take a course and get a job at a car plant. Now, I'm a supervisor. Recently, a friend urgently sold his house, and I bought it at a hefty discount. 2 weeks ago, I moved into my new house, and today my parents, sister, and brother-in-law showed up uninvited. They congratulated me and started asking about the deal, shocked that I bought a house while they still rented. My sister and her husband strolled through my house, planning to move in. I asked why they suddenly popped up, and they said they were just checking on me. My sister then claimed a bedroom, saying I didn't need so much space as a single man. I flipped out, and my parents said it was difficult accommodating 7 people in a small house, so they needed my big house. I yelled no, reminding them how they threw me out. My sister screamed that I owed her for bringing me into this world, but I chased them out, threatening to call the cops if they pestered me further. Update. My sister and her husband broke into my house. They hadn't offered to pay rent and couldn't afford it. They had freeloaded on my parents for 12 years, and now wanted to do the same with me. A week after their visit, my mom showed up again, asking me to let my sister move in. I refused, and she threatened me, saying my house would be safer with a family living there. Days later, a neighbor saw my sister and her family loitering around my house. They eventually broke in through a window, claiming they had no other option. I charged at my brother-in-law, and my sister's son hit me with a bottle. The cops arrived, and despite my family's lies, my neighbor's statement got them arrested. They spent the night in jail and were fined heavily. My parents showed up again, wanting to move in, but I refused. They planned to give their house to my sister. I told them karma was real and reminded them how they threw me out. I will not be a doormat for their demands. Story 2. I rejected my daughter's Father's Day gift because I'm still angry about my ex-wife's affair, which my daughter hid from me. After making her cry, I realized my mistake. My ex-wife, 40, and I, 41, divorced a year ago after she confessed to her affair and moved in with her partner. Our 17-year-old daughter knew about the affair but hid it to avoid breaking up the family. It hurt, but I moved on and told her it was all right. Today she gave me a Father's Day gift, but I was in no mood for gifts and told her to keep it. She seemed shocked and went to her room, crying. Comments MLK154, you say you moved on, but your actions don't reflect that. Be honest with yourself and her. Either move on or don't, but don't say everything is fine and then reject her gift. Gone too flay, few adults would speak up in this scenario, let alone a kid in a tough spot. She needs your grace. Udia hotcore mess forever, imagine her position. She was afraid her home would break, and her nightmare came true. You told her it's okay, but then rejected her gift. Shame on you. It's raw for you, but what about her? Semi-88 seriously, you expect a 17-year-old to choose between her parents. She was scared of being hated. It's not her fault, it's her mother's. She needs support too. Killer will shark you've been divorced for a year, so she found out at 14 or 13. A child shouldn't be responsible for their parents' marriage. You're the jerk. Update, I felt guilty after rejecting my daughter's gift and apologized. It hurt me to make her cry. We had a chat and I accepted the gift, a heartfelt letter. I took her shopping and to a movie, making her happy. At night, we had a serious talk, and I reassured her it wasn't her fault. She felt guilty for hiding the affair, fearing the family's breakup. I told her not to feel guilty and that it's only her mom's fault. We agreed to seek therapy to deal with the divorce and her mom's actions.